Welcome to the WKCE Info and Tips Screencast. Students who are in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th grades will be taking the state-mandated WKCE test coming up here during the first full week of November. So throughout this little video, we're just going to give you some information and some tips for how to do well on the test. So what exactly will be covered during this screencast is how to sign up for the WKCE, how to prepare, what to bring the day of the test, getting an understanding of why you have to take the test, and also what's on it, and then we'll wrap up with some general test-taking tips. So, first of all, you guys will have to sign up for it. eAchieve teachers are going to be traveling to locations all across the state, much like we did for orientation, to administer the test to eAchieve students. You will be getting information on how to sign up for these tests via your school email, and you have to sign up for a testing date. If you don't sign up, then we won't have the appropriate testing materials available for you on that day. Make sure that if something comes up after you sign up for a date and then you can't attend it, that your parents call the school as soon as possible to reschedule so that they can get you into another testing location. So as students, what are you supposed to do to get ready for the test? Well, your teachers will be sharing with you some sample test questions in their content area. So social studies teachers, for example, will be giving you social studies practice questions. You'll get math practice questions from your math teachers, and so on and so forth. And they'll be going over a little bit of test prep info with you as well. Make sure that you are actually getting enough rest. It's difficult to focus on a test and do well if you are really tired. At the same time, it's also hard to focus if you're really hungry. So make sure that you're getting at least 8 hours of sleep for the first few nights before the test. Make sure that you get up, you have a good breakfast, so you're on a full stomach, and that will help you to do better. When you go to your testing location, make sure that you actually pack a bag lunch and something to drink, because you will have an opportunity to have breaks to take, go to the bathroom and have snacks and everything else. Make sure that you bring a few number 2 pencils. We'll have some as well, but it's always good for students to bring their own. And you need to have a calculator. And if you bring a graphing calculator, all formulas that you have saved on that calculator have to be deleted. So it's probably your best bet just to bring a regular calculator. Why do you have to take this test? Well, this is a state-mandated test, so students across the entire state of Wisconsin have to take this test. And it gives students, parents, and the schools a lot of info about how students are doing in their core classes, which would be math, science, social studies, and English language arts. The scores are then used by the schools to determine if the students need extra help. So maybe you need help in math or reading, and the school can see that based off of your test scores, and then we can provide the appropriate level of support for students. The scores are also used by the state to determine how well a school is doing when it comes to teaching their students. So what exactly is on this test that you're going to take? Well, it's a little different depending on which grade you're in. For grades 6 and 7, you have 3 reading sections, which ends up to be a total of 120 minutes. And then there are 4 separate math sections, which altogether total 105 minutes. So the total time of your test is 3 hours and 45 minutes if you are in grade 6 or 7. If you're in 8th grade, it's longer. So you have 3 reading sections, 4 math sections, 1 science section, 1 social studies section, 1 English language arts section, and 1 writing section. And so the total time for the 8th grade test is 6 hours and 5 minutes. And then we jump up to 10th grade, and that's a little bit longer yet. You can see all the different sections that are laid out here and the total number of minutes for each section. And the 10th grade test ends up being 6 hours and 25 minutes. So, the first tip, keep calm and slow down. Sometimes when students are working under a time limit, when you're told you only have 20 minutes to complete this section or 30 minutes to complete that section, it can be easy to feel rushed and panicked because you're afraid that you're going to run out of time. But I can tell you that most students who take their time and go through the questions carefully and slowly, still end up finishing with a little bit of time left to spare, enough time to go back and even review your answers. So there's no need to feel like you have to rush through all of the questions, because that usually leads to you getting questions wrong. Tip number 2, make sure you read the question carefully and thoroughly before you look at the answers. Don't scan. Don't skip and look at the answers first and then go back to the question and try to figure out which one fits. Make sure you really truly understand the question. Then go ahead and look at all of the choices. But look at all the choices. Don't get to choice B and go, oh, I'm sure that's right, and then select that without even having read through the other possible answers. Tip number 3, don't keep changing your answer. Your first choice is usually correct unless you realize that you made a mistake, you misread the question, or you figure out something else, or something kind of pops into your head like a light bulb. Otherwise, stick with your first choice. Make sure for tip number 4 here that you answer every question. Do not leave questions blank. There's no penalty for having a wrong answer. So you can only improve your odds of doing well by answering every question. Even if it's a guess, even if it's a complete shot in the dark, at least put down something. Tip number 5, students are going to be working all together in the same room, and they're going to be working through at a different pace. So you may finish while a student next to you is still working. You want to make sure that you stay quiet so that you don't disrupt students around you who are still working on that section of the test. So the key thing is to make sure that you are well rested, that you eat, you take your time, and you do your very best on the WKCE. If you have any other questions about the WKCE test, please feel free to contact one of your eAchieve teachers.